Back already. But I decided, since we're ending off January, not a lot has really happened when it came to hip hop this past month. If you want to count Lil Yachty's Let's Start Here, incredible project. But I'm going to be focusing on the top hip hop tracks of this current month. I did manage to pull out six, so I'm going to put them on the board here, just talk about them very shortly. It's going to be a pretty brief video. I want to do a recap of this every single month. That way we can have a massive collection as we're going towards the end of the year. So I want to start off with the first track, which has come from an artist that I've been following for quite a long time. If I remember, in 2015, they dropped a pretty great album called The Good Fight, or he did. And the track is by an artist named Odyssey, who dropped his most recent album, To What End. And my favorite track off of that project is How Far. So How Far, I believe, is the third or second track on the album. And what I love about this track the most is that it kind of gives me that Cordae Lost Boy kind of feeling, where it's warm, it has this very inviting kind of presence to it. My favorite part, though, is the hook. I'm not sure if it's a sample, I'm not sure, maybe it was a feature, but it just, again, it adds to this really warm presence of the track. And the album as a whole does have this very inviting feel to it. So actually what I'll do is I'll put it in brackets here of what project it comes from. And hopefully you can read that. But To What End is a pretty good start to the year. So if you're looking for something that's going to be more jazz hip-hop oriented, if you're looking for something that's going to be a little bit more low-key, I would definitely say give this album and give this song a particular listen. If you like the song, you will like the album as a whole. The next track I have is from an artist titled or named Ivan Ave. Now, Ivan Ave is a Norwegian hip-hop slash R&B kind of hip-hop artist, and he released a small little 2-pack that includes the track Bread. Now, Ivan Ave, I believe he's probably going to be dropping an album probably this year, but it has a very strong Mac Miller feel to it. It kind of carries the same feel that How Far does, where it sounds really warm, it sounds really inviting. It's a very relaxed flow from Ivan Ave, and I really appreciate that. And it's just all around a good vibe. And what I like about January so far is that there has been tracks that have been very bombastic, and we'll get to those once we get to them. But I like that we've had a good mix of both incredibly, just aggressive hip-hop, but then we've had the other side of it where you get some really nice and kind of chill and low-key songs. If you really like Mac Miller, I highly recommend listening to Ivan Ave, in particular Bread. It's probably one of my favorite tracks this year. This is the one I've revisited the most. Now, doesn't come from an album, by the way. It's just a 2-pack that also includes Orbit, which is also a great track as well. Now we're gonna move on to I Gotta Do Some Trippie Redd. And while the album as a whole, I didn't really enjoy, the first half of it has some pretty great moments. And probably my favorite one is Nightcrawler. And I'm going to put Juice WRLD there as well. And I'm assuming this track has probably been in the vault for a long time, because it sounds quite refined, and it's such a great track. And Juice WRLD's hook is incredible. It matches so well with this dark, sinister beat. The second part of the hook, Molly Smell Like Death, Am I Too High? Yes. And just the delivery and the melody that it has, and also going to Juice WRLD's verse that goes into the higher pitch of the vocals, it's just such an energy booster. And then when Trippie comes in, he brings that really gruff delivery on this track, especially when he gets into kind of the second portion of his verse, where the voice gets really raspy. And especially my favorite part towards the end is I can't even replicate it, is you dying in here, and just kind of enunciating the here in like a melodic kind of way is so catchy. I just find the whole track, even though the album that it comes from, which I will add also, is Mansion Music. While the album is kind of a mess and it's really bloated, this track by far is one of the biggest standouts from the album. There is a couple more. I will take Psycho as well with Future. An incredible banger track. Now, to keep on kind of the more nocturnal and more kind of not really aggressive bangers, this is UFO. I think it's 361. And this is Brody's, which features Gunna. This is just another single. And this is just a really nice performance and a nice return to, I guess, the scene for Gunna after going through all the legal stuff that he's gone through, the racketeering charges and all the kind of stuff like that. Gunna really floats over this beat. The beat is very watery feeling, but it's dark in a way. And I think Gunna does really well sliding all over this. UFO 361, I've never heard of this artist before. It's probably a little bit more of like, I guess maybe British. And his energy on the second track, and on the second verse, is quite a welcome change of pace, even though the gunshots towards the beginning of his verse does throw you off a decent bit. I find it kind of puts the energy to a halt, and then you kind of get back into it once he kind of gets more into his verse. The hook is fantastic, though. UFO's melody on the chorus is very catchy. It's very just, I guess, I wouldn't say emotional, but it carries a lot of this nice energy and kind of a swagger to it that I really appreciate. So we got 4 down. Next one I'm going to put down is Slowthai with his track Selfish, which I'm assuming is coming from his album, which I believe is dropping March 3rd, which is titled Ugly. But Selfish is a punk rap kind of banger. And I know that Slowthai did a feature and kind of a collab song with the UK band Idols for Model Village. And I would not be surprised on this new album if we do get some Idols kind of features or more like rock-inspired like features, because Slowthai, the energy that he has, it's very punk. It's very aggressive. It's very in your face. The drumming is fantastic. The guitar that's sampled through the entire instrumental is great. And it's just a big bundle of this really chaotic energy. And I think the music video does encapsulate that very well. And I'm not mistaken, the kind of experiment with the song is that he kept himself in captivity for, I believe, about 24 hours. And that's also where the music video for Selfish came about. And you can tell just the energy inside of that room of just being cooped up and just wanting to release all that anger. When you see the video, it's a great way of showing how amazing and how rebellious and how destructive this track is in the best way possible. So I got one more track to add. And where am I going to put it? I'll move the camera down a little bit so that way hopefully it sticks. Sure. We're going to add one final one. A$AP Rocky, of course. And I know this track has been kind of around for a tiny bit. And it's been I know it was part of an Amazon live performance. My writing is getting really bad as I'm going down. There we go. But Same Problems is it kind of reminds me of Call Drops off, and Purity kind of, off of Testing, where it's very, it even changes a more apt kind of comparison. It's very dreary, it's very depressing, it's very slow, but it offers one of A$AP's most personal performances that he's had about people dying behind, like, around him. Is he the problem? Is he the problem that he talks about in his songs? Is he a product of his flaws? It's a really introspective track that, not to say that I didn't expect it from Rocky, but it's something that it's very much welcome, especially if we're going into a new album and a new album cycle. If this is the kind of content that we're going to get, which we did get glimpses of on testing when you think about purity and changes and all that kind of stuff, if we do get more of a glimpse of personal content on this new Rocky album, whether it's called, I think it's Don't Be Dumb or Grim, whatever it's going to be, I think Same Problems is a good sign of what we're to expect. So there we go. 6 tracks there that you can all go explore. I really recommend all of these, and I'm going to try again to do this once a month. So thank you for watching. Make sure to go watch the Travis Scott ranking video. I'm going to try to do that once a month, maybe once a week. I'm trying to figure out who I'm going to do next. It's going to be, I'm going to try to keep myself busy, that's for sure. And I'm also working on a little Yachty kind of Discog recap, especially considering what in the world has happened with Let's Start Here. I'm listening to all of the discography right now, currently on Summer Songs 2. So I'm going to be going through all of that. We're going to be comparing the Album of the Year rankings. We're going to talk about the album as a whole, talk about the problems that Yachty's had in his career, the successes that he's had. And we're just kind of going to go through the career leading up to this point, because I find that stuff very interesting. So there you go right there. There you go. And that's it. Everyone have a good night, and peace out.